Let's talk about lesson 111. Lesson 111 deals with dividing in scientific notation. So, one of the units, and we're going to take this to science here for a second, one of the units that astronomers use to measure distances within our solar system is called the astronomical unit. So, an astronomical unit is the average distance between Earth and the Sun, which is roughly 150 million kilograms or 93 million miles. Okay, so an example of when we might need to use this division in scientific notation is taking a look at Saturn, for example. So it says that at a point in Saturn's orbit, it is 1.5 billion kilometers from the Sun. So, what distance in astronomical units is that? Okay, well, I give you the answer, but let's see how we figure out that answer. So, the way that I do that is I put this into scientific notation. So, it becomes 1.5 times 10 to the ninth because it took 9 places to move that decimal between the 1 and the 5. Okay, now we're multiplying it. That was kilometers, so I need kilometers on bottom and astronomical units on top. Well, I know that one astronomical unit is about 150 million kilometers. So that's why I have that on bottom. So kilometers and kilometers can cancel out. I wrote this in scientific notation, 1.5 times 10 to the 8th. And then I have 1 AU, which is astronomical unit. Okay, so if I want to do the division here, okay, so in other words, I have this divided by this. So I have 1.5 times 10 to the ninth over 1.5 times 10 to the 8th to figure out how many astronomical units it is between Saturn and the Sun. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide number by number, and then we're going to divide the powers. So I have 1.5 divided by 1.5. That one works out nicely. It's a 1. Times 10 to the, well, I have 10 to the ninth over 10 to the 8th. Remember, when I divide with these exponents, I'm going to subtract exponents. So I take the top exponent, 9, minus the bottom exponent, 8, which would be 10 to the 9 minus 8 is 1. Well, that is 10. 10 to the 1 just means 10, so 1 times 10 is 10. What's my label? Astronomical units. So at some point in its orbit, Saturn is 10 astronomical units away from the Sun. Okay, these may be some more practical problems that you might see on your sets. So it says when we divide numbers written in scientific notation, we divide the powers of 10 by subtracting their exponents. Okay, and we are going to write these answers in scientific notation. So let's look at this first one. 6 times 10 to the 8th divided by 1.2 times 10 to the 6th. So I'm going to do number by number. So 6 divided by 1.2. So I need to move that over, so it becomes 60 divided by 12. Well, what is 60 divided by 12? It is 5. Okay, so 6 divided by 1.2 is 5. Okay, I have 10 to the 8 minus 6 is 2. So 5 times 10 squared is the answer to this problem. Now, you might recognize that pretty easily and say, well, that's 5 times 100, so the answer would be 500. Yes, and that would be okay as long as it doesn't say write your answer in scientific notation. So that's something you'll want to watch out for. Okay, let's look at this one. I have 2 times 10 to the negative 2 over 8 times 10 to the negative 8. So 2 divided by 8, or 2 over 8, well, that's the same as 1 over 4. So 1/4 is 0.25. So 0.25 times 10 to the... So I have negative 2 minus negative 8. So negative 2 minus negative 8. When you have those negatives in there, I suggest writing it out so it's easy to see. So I have negative 2 minus minus becomes a plus. So now I have 2 bad guys and 8 good guys. That leaves me with 6 good guys. So 0.25 times 10 to the 6th. However, we're not done, because you might see this part and say, well, that's not correct scientific notation. No, it's not, and it needs to be correct scientific notation. So we know how to simplify these, so I'm going to take my 0.25 and write just that part in scientific notation. So that would be a 2.5 times 10 to the negative 1. I still have times 10 to the 6th. So I have 2.5 times 10 to the negative 1 plus 6 is 5. So 2.5 times 10 to the 5th. All right. Have fun working on lesson 111.